I often remark that narcissists are predictable, and that's why, when narcissists realize you're done for good, that you're never coming back, they do three very specific things, which we'll look at today. Let's do it. So, let's get started. What should you expect when a narcissist realizes you're not coming back? Well, a few things, actually, not the least of which is that their desire for you will most certainly increase dramatically. Narcissists always desire what they cannot have. If it is out of reach, the narcissist's desire will simply increase. Why? Well, because the forbidden fruit effect is extremely real, and to some extent, it is human nature to desire more when it is out of reach or difficult to obtain. However, because of the cavernous hole in their soul, persons with a damaging narcissistic personality pattern take the forbidden fruit effect to a whole new level. Furthermore, narcissists spend a lot of time fantasizing, often to the point of hallucination, especially about themselves, their own value, gifts, and talents, which is why they frequently exhibit an attitude of superiority and a frightening sense of entitlement. When they realize you're truly gone and never coming back, and they have to cope with themselves and the emptiness left behind in your absence, believe me when I say they will feel it, and in a major way. And in that gap, they yearn for the one who went away. Now, the truth is that narcissists do not pursue riffraff. You can be certain that if a damaging narcissist has pursued you for more than a one-night affair, it is because you bring a lot of positive qualities to the relationship. At the very least, you are someone who makes them feel good in some way. This applies to any relationship, not just romantic ones. So, with that in mind, when the narcissist realizes what they've lost by losing you, you can expect them to start employing hoovering methods to lure you back into the abuse cycle. In reality, this is almost certain to happen. For more information on narcissistic hoovering, see this video. Being prepared in advance will spare you a lot of heartache, stress, and trauma when the time comes. And here's the thing, the narcissistic hoover has no time limit or expiration date. I've personally encountered a number of hoovering efforts following a decade or more of complete avoidance of a number of toxic narcissists from my past. They can be unrelenting. So, when this happens, don't be impressed. This has nothing to do with you, and everything to do with them attempting to meet their own sick desires through you and at your expense. Once they have you back where they want you, and the forbidden fruit effect has worn off, you can expect to be served another round of what we call the toxic abuse cycle, which, if you're not clear what that means, the narcissistic abuse cycle runs in three phases: the idealization phase, the devalue phase, and then, of course, the discard, with a whole lot of projection, gaslighting, lying, and deceiving along the way, and all of this starts with a healthy dose of love. Love bombing, also known as the idealization phase, is where we start the narcissistic abuse cycle, either for the first time or all over again if there has been time and distance. So, just to be clear, this is what is happening. You are getting drawn back into the toxic abuse cycle, where you are idealized before being devalued and then discarded, potentially for the first time. That's the cycle you're on. If you let the narcissistic person back into your life, you will be stuck in a vicious circle. Many of you are already familiar with this abuse cycle, since it has been a pattern in your romantic relationships, as well as with friends, family, and coworkers. And it's quite painful. I don't need to tell you this, especially for those of us who are very sensitive and show up with the finest intentions for these people who couldn't care less about our feelings, our well-being, or what's best for us. If they can get a toe in the door, they will suddenly morph into the person you needed them to be in the first place, when you were being abused and went no contact out of sheer self-preservation. Now, all of a sudden, they're on their best behavior, doing all the right things, saying all the right things, and even appearing to know how to apologize, to some extent, whatever hard it may be for them. And you're thinking, wow, suddenly they can show up on time, be decent, kind, and respectful, and show you how much they really care, and how very, very sorry they are, or so they say, while making all kinds of empty promises in the hopes that you'll be gullible enough to fall for their dog and pony show. And the reality is that this is all only transitory. Their best behavior will only last for a short time. If the stakes are extremely high, you may be able to get a few months of constant best behavior from them. But in no time, that disguise will begin to unravel, You will quickly enter the devaluation phase, in which you will once again become the target. In no time, they'll be shifting blame and projecting all of their disowned neurosis and insanity onto you. So understand that if you've allowed that to happen, if you haven't maintained firm, non-negotiable, and unapologetic no contact, while also focusing on your own healing and recovery work, and they've gotten a foot in the door, and you're on the receiving end of all this love bombing and future faking, the whole cycle has just started over. When you realize it's time to run for the hills again, make no mistake, you'll be beginning from scratch. It does not get easier with time. In fact, things only grow worse. It's only getting harder. The following time around, our self-esteem suffers even more. It becomes increasingly awkward, uncomfortable, and upsetting. The emotional, psychological, spiritual, physical, and financial ramifications worsen or become more severe with each relapse into the abusive relationship. So, consider long and hard before you start falling for their words and the sudden shift in this whole new person who was previously unable to show up for you but is now more motivated for whatever reason. Think long and hard before falling for any of the rubbish, because the chances are that you will only experience more pain and trauma. It's only a question of time. Now leave a comment below and tell me whether you've had this experience. Please share your ideas in the comments section. If you'd like to learn more about the potential of working with me in one of my coaching programs, please see the link in the description below this video. You can apply to determine if you are eligible for a complimentary one-on-one consultation with me or a member of my team. Let us presume that all attempts to hoover, love bomb, and exploit you at your most vulnerable have failed. Why? Because you're neither weak or vulnerable. Instead, you've taken great care of yourself. You've not only made no contact, but you are also leveling up. You are devoting time, energy, focus, and resources, your own healing and rehabilitation. You're learning to love, heal, and take excellent care of yourself, creating a life in which you can live as your best self. As a result, you've had no touch, and all of their tactics, games, and schemes have failed terribly. What will happen next? They'll send in the flying monkeys and meddling minions, family, friends, neighbors, and even coworkers with no boundaries and who don't mind their own business. These people may only know half of the story, a skewed half at that, but they think they know everything. They'll provide unsolicited advice in the name of helping, frequently from a limited and erroneous perspective. While some of these people may be ignorant and well-intentioned, others support the narcissist, functioning as errand runners with their own agendas that are unlikely to be in your best interests. Beware of these flying monkeys and their mischievous minions. They provide an excellent opportunity to practice creating and enforcing appropriate boundaries. What happens if these techniques fail? The narcissist will tell tall tales, fairy tales, and create false pictures. Narcissists don't ride off into the sunset and live happily ever after. Everything you see on social media and hear through the grapevine is an illusion. If they are unable to demonstrate genuine empathy, love, and decency for you, they will not be able to do so for others. Stop hurting yourself with the illusion that someone else is receiving the affection that you did not. It is not real. Block them. Instead, focus on your own healing, recovery, and self-love. What happens next? A full-scale smear campaign. If you remain firm and refuse to succumb to their hoovering methods or the interfering of flying monkeys, they will turn against your character. Why? Because narcissists are angry, resentful, and cowardly. Regardless of their own actions, they must portray themselves as either the hero or the victim in the story, making you the antagonist. When this occurs, 1. Recognize its predictable behavior. 2. Recognize that it is an attempt to reclaim control. 3. Remain focused on your healing and recovery efforts. 4. Surround yourself with a strong support system. The smear campaign can be upsetting, particularly in the early phases of recovery when you are still susceptible. But with time and mending, you'll become immune to their foolishness. When they are unable to manipulate you, narcissists alter the impressions of others. They will strive to change how others see, think, and feel about you. Your job is to soar above the hubbub and remain unaffected by their efforts. I understand how difficult and terrible this may be because I have been through it myself. However, knowing what to expect ahead of time is preferable. Prepare for the worst case scenario and take the necessary steps to protect yourself and heal. Final thoughts. When the narcissist can no longer use or control you, they will attempt to dominate others' perceptions of you. Expect this and concentrate on your development and resilience. I have over 300 YouTube videos to assist you understand narcissistic abuse, its consequences, and most importantly, how to heal so you may live your best life in peace, confidence, independence, and plenty.